Looks like Rod's here. Robert, go ahead. You can kick it off.
Yeah, Coach, basically the same question I just asked the head coach is about the quarterback debate this week. I'm curious of your philosophy of playing two quarterbacks in a game planning for two to rotate, game planning for just one guy to have it, and maybe you switch given the flow of the game. How are you approaching that after Isaiah's performance?
Well, obviously we're pleased with how Isaiah played. Knew that we've seen that type of performances at practice, and it's good to see it carry over the game. So thrilled about that. Moving forward, once again, I've always said we always want to have at least three guys ready to play. So we try to get three guys ready. Do you play one at a time? Do you play two at a time? I think it all depends. Depends on the situation. Depends on the flow of the game. All those type of things. How hot a guy is. Everybody's got to be ready for when their opportunity calls to be ready to step in and play. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes this week, and go from there. I don't want to, elaborate too much because we don't. At the same time, we got to let everything play out and just kind of move forward and see how it goes this week.
Jim.
Hey, Rod, hope you're doing well. I know Chase Brown had a pretty good game on Saturday, going for over 100 yards. Just talk about what you've seen from Chase this year and what you see from him in the next coming weeks.
Yeah. Well, Chase is another guy that we was, like I said, extremely happy to see the progress that he's made. And you saw it Saturday. He's got an extra gear. He runs extremely hard. And he's a very good football player. So we like Chase Brown. We like a lot of our backs. We just think that Chase is really gives you something a little bit more with the breakaway speed at times. So been really excited about him. And moving forward, I think he's only going to keep getting better. He's had limited. I won't say limited reps. He hasn't had as many reps as some of the other guys. He hasn't been here as long, but obviously he's caught on pretty fast and really pleased with where he's at and where he's going.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you.
Scott Bates.
Hey, Rod, my question is kind of connected to Isaiah's size, and Lovey was just mentioning, hey, today's quarterback is going to be different now. My question is, the number of times that Isaiah carried the ball, he did so well, but is that something he can absorb game in and game out? Is it, something that needs to get mixed up just for his longevity? Maybe that's not an issue. So I'm curious your thoughts.
Oh, the safety of your guys is always it's always an issue. You don't want them taking a lot of hits if they can help themselves. Isaiah is a guy that is very slippery. He avoids a lot of hits. Yeah, you're going to get hit at football. That's the way it is. Particularly whenever you run the quarterback like we do at times. A lot of those runs weren't called runs either. Those were reads on his part. So it's not like we're sitting here dialing his. There's some runs that there's no read. He's running, but there's a lot of them too that he's pulling and reacting off the defense's reaction to how they play it. So I thought he did a really good job. Is there ways to take hits off of him? Sure there are. There's also, you also got to let the kid young man play as well and do what he does well. And so we'll continue to monitor. We check his health. I know the football's not that heavy, so he didn't get too tired to carry the football. He goes back to how many hits are you absorbing, can you take, and getting clean shots on you. If you are, you got to be cognizant of it. Isaiah's a good football player. He knows how to handle it. Moving forward, like I said, we'll continue to monitor that as much as possible, but try to be smart with how we call the plays with him.
So was the defense giving him a lot of reads? My question is if the defense is sort of expecting a lot of runs, kind of show that you can be effective even when the defense is doing so. So, how can you continue to be effective if the defense expects you to run and you want to run?
Yeah, I think Rutgers, we didn't throw very many times Saturday, right? We did that on purpose because we said we wanted to establish the run, and we got ourselves a little bit of flow, and I didn't want to disrupt that. We mixed a couple passes in, a couple play actions in just to kind of keep them completely honest, but we kind of, I think Rutgers knew we were trying to run the football, and that's what we did. So, it's anytime you can run the quarterback, you gain the extra number, you gain the extra half, and it kind of makes life a little tougher on a defense when they try to put all the numbers in the box or all the numbers to stop the run. You still have an advantage per se because you can put a hat on a hat and you put an athletic kid like Isaiah. And, it's tough. It's tough to tackle a fast kid like that in space. So, yeah. So it's to answer your question, Scott. It is. I think it's just tough. He brings another dimension to our offense.
And then finally, what's your assessment of Nebraska's defense overall? What kind of looks do they give?
Well, they're a typical big, strong Nebraska defense. They're long, they're big, and they're very physical. So they've changed some things up a little bit. Looks like they're running a little bit more 4 down front than they are 3 down front. They still get the 3 down, but probably running a lot more 4 down this year, which is a little different than they were in the last 2 years. So, I'm assuming it's because they got more defensive end type bodies that they like to play with or pass rushers. So, a little bit different there. Look like they are staying fairly aggressive, and overall, you can tell they're getting better. They're doing a good job. Coach Frost, he's a tremendous coach and well coached. So, it'll be a tremendous task for us, obviously, and going in, but we'll try to get our kids ready to play as best as possible.
Thanks.
Hey, Coach, what did it mean for you to have Doug Kramer back in the lineup this week and then, be able to move Kendrick back to his normal spot?
Yeah, it got us some normalcy back, to be honest with you. In this age and era of COVID, right, we had a little bit of normalcy back with having Dougie back in center for us. So, KG did a great job with the center the 2 weeks Doug was out. But allowed us to kind of get back to what we're used to, having some more stability up front. And then, I was proud of, my heart goes out to Poucha, who got injured that game because he's such a warrior and wants to continue to play and all that type of stuff. But Julian Pearl stepped right in and I thought did a really good job for his first extensive playing in a crucial situation at that. I thought he did a really good job for us.
Coach, Doug lives with Brandon Peters, who was obviously diagnosed with COVID. Were you worried about him during the weeks, leading up to the game? Were you telling him, stay away? How do you deal with that whole thing?
You talking about Brandon?
Yeah, Doug lives with Brandon, and they're together, obviously. What'd you tell him and how they worked that out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when through the week, whenever they tested positive, I mean, it's pretty easy. They send them home, they quarantine them, and they're away from everybody. So you didn't have to worry about that. He didn't get out until he was able to get out. So once he's out, there was no fear. But once again,
Okay.
30 days, stuff like that. So really wasn't a big issue. It's just a matter of getting through that quarantine process that sometimes takes a while. And then, of course, once you get through that, you got all the different tests they run for the heart and all that type of stuff, and all that takes time. It's all Big Ten rules. But no, at least he was fine. He was in every meeting. Once he was able to get out, I can't remember what time frame that was, but when he got out, he was in every meeting. He was attending that practice, all that type of stuff. So that wasn't an issue.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Hey, Rod, as you've mentioned Isaiah's IQ and being able to work on the board, how do you think he read the field and kind of diagnosed the defense on Saturday?
Not bad for his first full time of extensive work. I thought he played pretty well. He saw things. There were some things he missed, but the good thing about Isaiah is he's gonna be the first one to tell you, "Hey, I missed that." You don't have to really coach him up and say, "Hey, why did you pull this? Why did you throw it here?" He'll be on the headphones and tell you, "Coach, I missed that one. I missed I missed the corner, I missed the outcut, whatever it is. So that's the good thing. He's very cognizant about that. So that's how you know he kind of gets it too. And it's refreshing when you get a young kid like that who at such a young age can speak that language to you. Kind of, I don't want to say coach himself, but know, hey, I missed that one, and I got to be better at it. And so he knows the mistakes he made, so that way he's probably a lot less chance of him making that same mistake twice.
And then he obviously missed a couple throws, just a little inaccurate. Are those mechanical things, or how do you, kind of tweaking that? Because obviously he seemed to have some guys and read it, but just didn't make the throw.
One of them, he was late. His footwork, he took too many steps in a drop. So he was late on his throw, on the throw to Josh Bebe on the crosser that Josh got decapitated on. He was late on that one. And then a couple others, like the fade ball to Josh, just it was a good idea. He just overshot it a little bit. We always tell him, if you're gonna miss the deep ball, miss it short and outside, we can go back up and get it. So little things like that are correctable. I think he missed an outcut to Barker one time, a swing route to Chase. Both guys are open, right? We just got to be, more fundamentally sound in our mechanics and our throwing, and he will. Once again, the more reps and stuff he takes, the more comfortable he gets. The gimme throws, he'll make them more often than not, I think, moving forward.
Thanks, Rob.
Joey.
Hey, Rod, after that Wisconsin game, you got a chance, it was really the last chance to, try to sprinkle in some Isaiah packages. Have you gotten a chance to talk with Brandon and Isaiah about what worked, what didn't, and if that should come up again, if there's a comfortable approach to blending both of those two in?
I don't understand what your question is. After the Wisconsin game, what now?
You got a chance to put in some packages for Isaiah. Have you gotten a chance to chat with him and Brandon about what worked or what didn't in terms of game flow, and if that should happen again, the best way to approach it?
Yeah, we visit after every practice, after every game. We talk about everything: what worked, what didn't work, why didn't, what should we do different, what can I do different. We're very transparent. I'm gonna let them know, hey, this is a terrible call on your coach's part. This is the look you missed. So we're very transparent. They know exactly what's going to be expected of them, and so yeah, there has been conversations with that, and we'll continue to be, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who we play. I've had if you want to call it the luxury of playing 4 quarterbacks this year so far. So there better be dialogue with each and every one of them, because they never know when their opportunities will be. And when you get your opportunity, you got to make the most of it. Isaiah made the most of his opportunity Saturday, and I thought he did a really good job. And like I told you guys before, he's a guy that is dynamic enough that that he needs to be able to see the field in some way. So moving forward, how will that be? I don't know, but we'll find a way, hopefully, to kind of keep him involved as we move forward.
And you guys had 8 first downs. 6 of them were him taking off and running, and he got, in most cases, far more than the marker. What is it about him where kind of the lights are on and you guys need a first to move the chains, and he just seems kind of confident in that ability to get it? Is there anything in his personality that you've seen that kind of makes him ready for those moments?
Well, yeah. One of them was an actual scramble that he was a sprint out of 3rd and 9, and he ended up cutting it back on the other direction of the field, and made a first down. That's between him and the good Lord. I didn't do that one, so that was all on him. A couple of the other ones were designing draw plays, quarterback draws. We caught him in man coverage and hit a couple of draws. Our line did a great job putting the hat on the hat, and he got loose. So once he got loose, I fit him the good Lord. So thought he did a really good job of managing the game. Once again, extending the series, getting first downs, allows us to get 4 more downs and continue to get into a rhythm. We finally got to a little bit of a rhythm, I think, what we tried to do Saturday. Not all the time. There's some times we bogged down. There were some things we got to get better at. But I thought we did a much better job of getting into a little bit of a flow of what we're trying to do.
Thanks, Rod.
Matt Stevens.
Rod, what was your assessment on what's going on with the goal line stuff? I know you would have loved to have punched in a couple of times and you had it down there. Is there certain things that you can pinpoint and go, if we can get better at A, B, and C, we'll get 6 points instead of 3?
And, yeah, disappointed. That was probably one of the areas that to me that we got to be better at. One of the things is we just got to, our backside cutoffs, we're not very good at times. A lot of it because just alignment, our splits are too wide. We had some guys in that had to go in and play that really hadn't had as much reps at it. So it's not an excuse. It's just, they go in, all of a sudden their splits are a little bit too wide or it should be. And next thing you know, you got a backside run through. Had some issues on the front side as well at times. Just too much penetration. So there were some things fundamentally that will get cleaned up moving forward this week. There were some things that Isaiah missed on one of the pulls where if he pulls and attacks the line of scrimmage, he's got the option to run it or throw it in the flat. He kind of stood in the backfield and waited and kind of took off late. But those are things that are very correctable. It's just the guys, he was trying to make a play and just, we got to get him being aggressive, being attack the defense. Don't be passive. Don't, little things like that fundamentally wise we'll be able to get corrected. So it's not like it's something that it's a stickler that we should not be able to get corrected moving forward. We need to be able to play better down there in that tight zone goal line area.
Thanks, Rod. Appreciate it.
Colin.
Rod, I know game situation kind of dictates who runs the ball, how much you guys run the ball, but if Brandon winds up starting this next game over Isaiah, how does that maybe change the way Chase Brown gets used? Does it change at all? Or you just plan to kind of feed him the ball as much as possible like you guys wound up doing against Rutgers?
Well, I don't know if it really changes how we play or use our running backs at all. No matter who's a quarterback. We like our running backs. We like the ball in their hands. So there's ways that we can do that, different ways we do it, different schemes, and it shouldn't affect in terms of who carries what or how many carries what. It's a matter of who we have on the field at the time.
And you mentioned Julian Pearl as well, but can you expand a little more on just how nice it was to see somebody fill in for a guy like Alex to step up there? I know he had a couple penalties off the bat, but it seemed like he really got comfortable pretty quickly after that. So what is your assessment of what he brought to that offensive line?
Yeah, great observation. He's been showing that in practice, to be honest with you, all this year. I've noticed Julian gotten better and better, and he's really seemed like he's starting to get comfortable. And he's a big man now, and he can move. So it was just a matter of him can put it all together, and that's been kind of his development. Coach McClain's did a great job with him, and his best football is still ahead of him. He's nowhere close to tapping it yet, in my opinion. But it was good to see him to go out there. Once again, he was kind of like Quran, thrown in in a situation where the starter got most of the reps. Now, he was able to get good reps because of how we practiced. So it wasn't like he was thrown in cold, but he hadn't had a lot of extensive work, and it was good to see him go in and perform like he did. I'm really pleased with him, and it gives us a lot of faith more that we're building more depth there at that tackle position.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you.
Doug, this will be the last question here.
I have two actually, but thanks for doing it, Coach. I don't want to pry a game plan out of you or anything per se, but a little bit of a dilemma. The running game obviously looks better with Isaiah in there. Presumably, you're a better passing team with Brandon. What kind of goes through your mind as a play caller and the offensive coordinator when you're kind of game planning and thinking about trying to get some balance?
Yeah, that's a good question. Each quarterback obviously has their strengths and has their weaknesses, and every player does. So you try to play to the strength of your quarterback. You try to play to the strength of your trigger man, and you do that as much within the scheme of what we do. We're not going to change our offense. We're not going to all of a sudden become a under center pro I team, and that's just not who we are. But we will mold the offense around the quarterback to try to give them as much success moving forward and try to fit their skill set. And then obviously with each person, everybody's can be better at something, right? Whether it be Isaiah, whether it continue with throwing, Brandon continue with the run, or whatever. We're going to continue to work with those things to try to make those more of a strength and a weakness in each person as much as we can. That's part of the developmental process moving forward with each and every guy.
Along those lines, I know you thought early in the season you were a little cautious with Brandon when it came to running the football, and he made some plays with his feet, some long runs. Do you feel better about giving him those opportunities to run now that you're kind of getting just about everybody back in the quarterback room and you got 4 guys who have taken some live snaps?
Yeah, and not just because of getting him back. It's like you said, Doug, I said it back after the Wisconsin game. I got to let him go a little bit more because he's proven that he can do some things on the perimeter with his legs, and that makes it tougher on the defense. When a quarterback can do those things, then it makes it tougher and stress the defense. So, and that wasn't Brandon's fault. That was me kind of taking that off his plate and not having him to worry about that. He likes to do it once in a while, and like I said, I got to let him play a little bit more when it comes to that. I know he can throw it. I know he can push the ball down the field. I know he can do all those things. Just letting him kind of run the offense a little bit more so than what it was in the past. In terms of the run game part, that's something I need to definitely do. A little more.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Rod.
Thank you, guys.
Doug Kramer.